the first 5 minutes you couldn't hear them. And now it's us. It's literally us. us.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Better Buddies show here on Epic Flail, brought to you by myself and Liam, sat opposite each other, causing complete technical chaos.
It is absolutely... You'd never get this with Valrak.
You wouldn't get this with Valrak.
He's too busy painting
but
yellow.
What you would get with Valrak is a bunch of nonsense for 20 minutes, which you're not going to get with us.
I've got an insider.
It's going to be a disaster.
It's going to be an absolute disaster. What is Valrak? If they've discontinued the paint that no one uses. Oh, excellent. Really useful, that one, mate.
Literally no point in Games Workshop anymore.
Yeah, might as well dissolve the whole company.
I should look over there to look directly into the eyes of the audience now. Liam and I have got a new setup where we just stare each other down. Liam was saying it's like the Red Pill podcast or something. We're going to talk about feminism.
Yeah, it's coming like quite confrontational. I think I need to put my hoodie up. I can't put the hood up without then taking my headphones off. Like, it feels like we're kind of like going like walking music for like UFC or something, doesn't it? I like the fact
that we're doing a face-off.
Oh, mate, let's not do a face-off. It'd be really weird. Yeah, because I'd be one of those fighters that tries to like kiss you.
Would you come in for a kiss?
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, little.
I think I'd
imagine this coming at you. Imagine this coming at you for a kiss, yeah. And knowing you can't do anything about it.
Welcome to the chat. We're joining us live for the third time this evening. We appreciate you all. You're wonderful people. Particularly of those of you that appear green. And those of you that have stuck with us while I managed to have the laptop playing our sound. If you're watching us live, then get involved and talk to us throughout the show. If you're watching and it's not live, then check out the timestamps below. Someone got really upset with me last video I did.
Oh, really? Why?
Because I always say at the beginning...
Oh, sorry for creating content. Jesus Christ.
To be fair, I could see why they're annoyed. Because I was like...
I can see that.
I was like, check out the timestamps below and you can skip to any part of the video. But I forgot to do that. And then like a couple of days later, I got a comment and it was just like...
No time.
You lied about the timestamps. So I was like, I actually did. But I'm not going to this week. I will have timestamps.
Are you actually going to do the timestamps this week?
I'm going to do the timestamps.
Yeah. Also, if anyone is tuning in after the event, just ignore the first 2 minutes of us pretending that we got something wrong, because it was a perfectly well-oiled machine.
If you tune in for the first time, Liam and I, at the beginning of each show, like to sort of role-play a technical issue on a previous show. Just as a bit of fun, just to kind of...
I did it on Thursday, didn't I? I let you guys start the stream the other Thursday and just didn't even turn the microphones on when I was doing the production.
Oh,
for yours and Brandon's stream, and you had to start again. That's right.
I was chatting away with Brandon. I could see the audio thing not moving. I was like, Brandon, we're just talking to no one.
Just me sat there being like, I'm having a whale of a time. I haven't even turned the microphone.
Kill the stream. Everyone back to the beginning.
The worst bit was he beat me after that. There was 5 minutes of beating going on afterwards. Are
you accusing me of physical violence towards you, Liam?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I think this needs to be addressed.
Let me just mark that down in the ledger.
Oh, okay. Oh, the ledger.
Mark that down, yeah.
Oh, God, you've become very south. A northern man, a proper northerner wouldn't use the word ledger, would they? Let's be honest.
That is true.
Imagine if you went back home and started telling people you were filling in a ledger. They'd think it's some sort of diary, wouldn't they?
They really would. Now my audio
what are you
sounds
fiddling
weird.
with?
My audio sounds annoyingly strange from my headphones.
Yours is like really crisp.
There we go. It's because I managed to press a button where I could only hear you. It's annoying.
Jesus
Brandon, we're going to go through the agenda for today, but first of all, a particular thank you to Brandon, who I asked 3 times to share a link there. So Liam, we must apologise for Brandon on behalf of the show. Brandon, we appreciate it, my friend. Today we're going to talk, I'm looking forward to this subject, we're going to talk about Warhammer 40,000, 10th edition, the good, the bad and the ugly. We've been playing it for a while now. It's been out for long enough for us to have a good look at the game.
I think it's been out for like 9 months, I want to say.
Oh, it might be more than that.
Is it?
Maybe like 10, 11.
It's been out for a while now.
It can't be far off a year.
Yeah, because there was, did they do like 6 months before the first data slate and then another 3 months for the next one?
Yeah.
I think it's got to be coming close to 9, isn't it?
It's coming close to 9. So we're going to talk about good, bad and the ugly Warhammer 40,000, do our usual segments. But before we get into it, we do have some prizes to give away on the stream today. Can I just, before you do that, the Ellis, who I have never seen in a chat before, is absolutely on a mission, mate. I think he's trying to pay like my kid's college fund at this moment in time, and I absolutely love it. Big shout out, man. What did you do? Luke, you didn't do anything, mate. Don't worry. This week, live on the show, we're giving away... Oh, look at that. Through the power of... Look, that's interesting, you guys. I've got it over Liam's face. We're giving away some Kroot dice.
Are they Kroot dice?
Yeah, special Kroot dice. So if you're a Tau player and you want to collect Kroot, we're giving away Kroot dice. And we've got 2 proxy models, which Liam tells me are orcs.
No, they're not orcs. They look like orcs on the back. I then said to you they're not orcs. One's a ghoul and one's a some sort of like night elf warrior.
So we're giving them away to the person who Liam and I at the end of the show thinks contributed the most to the chat.
Yes.
And we must
And it's not just Brandon sending silly jokes. As much as we love that, he can't just create a load of smut in the chat and then win prizes for doing that.
Brandon managed to join the stream at the weekend 5 pints in and was causing quite a lot of chaos, which I had to keep a very close eye on.
Did you have to like moderate any of his chat at all?
I didn't read a lot of it out.
I didn't read a lot of it out.
He was all right. He just came in a bit spicy. He came in a bit hot. So biggest contributor to the chat, you will win these dice. And that's not volume of chat, it's quality of chat. So please don't just start hitting enter. That's not going to work. Those of you that are members, Liam and I are doing an After Dark show at 9 where we're going to talk about an eternal question.
Yeah.
How much should the people that are streaming, and passers-by get involved in a live tournament game?
Or just a general game. Like if you're like watching one of your mates play and he's playing like, so say I'm watching like Adam play and he's playing someone that's playing Custodes and they do something wrong. Do I say something as someone that's watching that game? Because
or do you walk on by? Or do you go to a judge?
Or do you just like flip the table?
Or do you tread on the toe, wink at them, and then text them and say,
"Oh,
mate,
that sounds a bit like clandestine."
Whoa, we're going to go there.
Oh,
we're going to go there in the After Dark show. That'll be at 9 o'clock today. So members, stick with us. We're going to go straight into that. But for those of you that are joining here and live and not members, let's get straight into the show. Go on, Liam. First segment, please. I'd like you to kick it off this week.
Oh, what we're doing? How fun is Warhammer, aren't we?
No.
No, how was your week in Warhammer, Paul?
Yes, thank you. I just want to switch you around so you have to ask me first.
What, so you know that you're going to get asked?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just results in me being like, cool, let's just crack on with what I've been up to.
It's now your segment.
Oh, is it? Well, mate, my segments always die a death, though, because they're just not very
true.
good.
You have killed quite a few segments on the show.
Yeah.
Lawmaster Liam, because you thought that... I thought that in my head, Lawmaster Liam was you making up bad law and then coming onto the show with like fake law, and I had to decide whether it was true or not. Yeah, but you thought it was just you telling me a story of law, so I was like, right, do the first Lawmaster Liam segment. And you just told like a 3-minute story about a piece of law, and I was like, I think it's true, and you were like, yeah, of course it is. I was like, well, it's not a segment.
It's not a segment. You just rehashing some rubbish. It's got to be like a game. You're just rehashing whatever GW.
It's got to have a game element to it. My week in one was good. Well, we were at the tournament on Saturday. The teams event, we streamed that, which was great fun. Luke and I did an Old World show on Thursday and chatted a load of Warhammer. And then that was it, actually. And then more painting. I'm painting more Old World stuff, which isn't, I mean, it's Warhammer-esque.
It's getting there.
I did paint some Space Marines.
Space Marines.
Hey, Space Marines.
Why are you painting Space Marines now?
Space Marines.
What 40k army are you actually playing at the moment? Because I change a lot, but at least I play one.
Yeah, well,
consistently.
It's a good question. What happened the week before last was I lost 2 games of Warhammer 40,000 in the space of 3 days. One of them live on stream, both by a single point.
Ew.
And that made me question Imperial Knights and my life.
You question my life. Thus, Imperial Knights in general.
And my secondary choices during my game against Brandon.
Mate,
where we both
of you. God, no. I was just sat there and I was honestly thinking, like, I've never seen... That's why I asked you before it started. I was like, can you even take that as a fixed secondary? And you were like, yeah, you can. And I was like, why is no one doing it then? And then you watch the game, and it's very clear why no one's doing it.
Don't take that, especially not on a live stream. Someone's saying in chat, how was your week in War Machine? Brandon, listen. I haven't mentioned it. You said it, okay?
Tell us about your bad dice again, Paul.
Listen.
Mate, you're getting pelters tonight.
I'm not... All I'm going to say is people that want to make their mind up about... Go back and watch that game and do the numbers, okay? I had a Warglaive charge a unit of intercessors. I killed like 1.
Yeah.
And I tank shocked. Didn't roll a single mortal.
Okay. I mean, it's not ideal, is it?
It's not ideal. Anyway, moving on to the main segment.
Cool.
No, I'm joking. Come on, tell us, what have you been up to, mate? Tell us your week in Warhammer.
I haven't played... I played at the tournament at the weekend.
You did? On stream?
On stream. So if anyone wants to see Custodes played at an exceptionally high level, probably don't watch that.
Mate, no, you were good with your Custodes.
I'm all right with them, weren't I?
You were great. Yeah, you were really good at that
Custodes.
game. It was a mean game.
Yeah, it was a really good game. The
You
person
played really
I played,
well.
Alex, was an absolute legend. Really nice fella. So I played against Guard. That was really good. I played Thousand Suns before that. Nick was great opponent. And played Votan game 1. I was really drunk still. And I had no idea what was going on. And the opponent was called Liam. And it just completely wigged me out that the other person was called Liam. And I was just sat there like looking at the scores on my phone with no idea what was going on because it both just said Liam.
You're like, oh, Liam's doing pretty well.
I was like,
no idea which it is.
Oh, no, I'm behind. No, I'm losing. And I was like, I couldn't get my head around it. But yeah, once I'd sobered up, I was all right, I think.
You came in a bit. I didn't realise you were still rocking.
Yeah.
You were a little intoxicated.
Yeah, it was my birthday, wasn't it?
It was Friday.
Friday night into Saturday morning was my birthday. And then I turned up to Stu pick me up and he was just like, what the hell is going on here, mate?
What I think you should have come in with the sunglasses.
Mate, that would have been a big move, to be fair. A big move. With the sunglasses on, with Luke then standing on stage with the first announcement being like, it's Liam's birthday. Whoever beats him gets a prize. Me just like that in the corner with a badge on with a Cosby stuck to it. It's like, God.
The Cosby dice came out.
Cosby dice came out. They got a mention. The fact that my trage looks a little bit like Bill Cosby also got a mention.
I can't remember who it was in the Discord this week that asked about the Cosby dice.
I saw the chat. Yeah, I saw that chat. And
someone going, why
does Liam have Cosby dice?
I thought this is going to have to be really sensitively handled. Then Matt just flew in and just like was.
It's because he's nice and then does you. And then the best bit was someone asked me they were like, was it before or after the sex scandal? I was like, well, Jesus, like, I mean, I'm not supporting his actions in any way, shape, or form. But God, like, it's like I got them as a gift.
Honest. It was a great event. Good job to Luke. Incursion events.
Yeah, epic event. Well done, Luke. Again, yeah, really fun event.
Please make sure that Ellis is
on a mission today. I think he must play Tower and want those dice, mate.
I appreciate Ellis flying in with 5 memberships. Good lad. Appreciate you. Couple of things on Incursion. Go check out the excellent Incursion Tactics channel. Yeah,
really, really good channel. I watched something about calling people out the other day.
Really
and I think the way that Luke describes it is exactly how you should be doing it.
It was really good. Yeah, there's a great video around a subject that we discussed a few weeks ago, which was cheaters. How to stop cheaters.
Yeah.
Because they're a problem, guys. So he's staring directly into Liam's eyes in a live podcast. So I'm putting my glasses on. Are you ready?
Are you putting your glasses on already?
I just find it so much more comfortable.
I don't know, but it's really weird sitting opposite you.
It's different, isn't it?
I love the fact that no one's questioned my background yet either.
I like how you're not talking into your microphone as well.
I am talking into my... You told me a minute ago you could hear me breathing. Jesus Christ, make your mind up. I was like here though, wasn't I? I was like really close.
Yeah, I was a bit stressed the second time I had to start the stream.
Liam, I can hear you breathing. I'm trying to sort the sound out.
He was like, that's because I'm breathing into the microphone.
That's because I'm right next to it.
I was like, oh, great. Right, my friends, let us embark on an adventure discussing the good, the bad, and the ugly of Warhammer 40,000. Really, really interested to hear what people have to say about this in the chat. We know there are a bunch of people that join us every week who play plenty of games and understand the insides and the outsides of Warhammer 40,000 at a very competitive level and a casual level. Not everybody grinds the competitive games out every week, but we've got a good balance of people in the chat that play this game for different reasons. The reason I wanted to chat about this is it feels like there's been a good chunk of time now that's passed since Warhammer 40,000 10th edition has been out.
I think everyone's sort of found their feet a little bit more with it, haven't they? And I think, and again, not to like dig any, but I think Sisters is a prime example of the game evolving, because when it first came out, everyone's like, oh, they're awful. And nothing's really particularly massively changed for them, has it? But now all of a sudden you're like, oh, they're in a good spot. And I think it just takes that time just to stuff to bed in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, defo. And it's safe to say, I think, to start on maybe like the ugly element of this, if we're going to do like good, bad and ugly. An ugly point about the start of Warhammer 40,000 was it didn't feel like a very good launch. The balance of the game at the beginning was absolutely ridiculous.
And I think we've talked about this before when we were originally talking about this way back when we first started doing this. It felt like what GW had done has gone, right, we've got 20 armies. Right, break them into 4s, and you lot all go and play test each other just within those 4. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to all mash it together and hope for the best. Because you could tell there was like 4 armies that were almost like really weak. And then there was 4 armies that was almost like really strong. And everyone else just sort of middled. And it was like those 4 have clearly never been tested against these 4. Because if they had, someone would have gone, do you know what? That's not quite right. Oh, your Wraith Knight's doing 24 mortal wounds. Oh, and then diving back behind cover. Yeah, seems legit, that. Yeah, actually, we'll go with that. We'll go with that one.
They definitely 100% did that, because we chat to a rules designer who basically said everyone got split into pods and they wrote all the rules in isolation of each other, which is why Votan came out like absolutely awful.
But why would you do that? I don't...
It's bad.
Obviously, you probably know more than I do, but why?
No, I don't think I do. not all it is. Why you just get distracted by... Can't read that name out.
Which one? Oh...
How does this guy live in a mansion and they stream in that little room? Right. Who's been stalking me?
I don't know. Not me. I'm here. I don't know. Has someone been in your house? Who's in your house? Do we need to go and check in the house?
Has someone been doxing me?
Has someone been doxing? What, so you're confirming that essentially you live in a mansion?
It's not. It's the man. What are you talking about? No.
Mate, it's the biggest house in Worthing.
It is the biggest house in Worthing, actually.
Exactly.
Can you imagine?
Imagine if it was.
The Warhammer 40,000 has always been plagued, I think, by Games Workshop's complete randomness. Massive company, tons of money, incredibly successful, loads of great people that work for them. But then the fact when this edition came out was it was somewhat rushed to launch, wasn't it? They had to get it out quickly. They felt loads of pressure. So I think the start of the game has not been a fair representation of where it is now. And I think it's in such a better place now than it was when the game launched and we had that, like, everyone split up into 4s. It was bad.
And I think this is what you've got to actually say is one of the good points to do with this, is the fact that they've recognised there was issues. And in previous editions, there'd be very few actual rules changes. They just adjust the points to try and make it work. What seems to have happened now is they've gone, do you know what? Actually, that interaction's just broken. Like, it doesn't work as we intended it to work. So we're going to change it. And yeah, we might alter the points around a little bit, but you could have made those Wraith Knights 700 points and people still would have been taking them because they were that broken.
They were completely ridiculous.
Completely and utterly broken. Tom
Hampshire gifting 5 memberships.
Well done, boys.
Absolute G. Appreciate you, Tom. Beat me by a point. 2 of my latest bloody killers are in the chat. Tom beat me by a point and Brandon beat me by a point. Within the space of 2 weeks.
Jesus. Damn it. Was Tom the fella that plays Dark Eldar?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Tom doesn't really play Dark Eldar. He plays Dark Lances.
I think, and this is then...
Tom's like, what's on your list? As many Dark Lances as I'm possibly able to say.
But then I think this is...
Sure, Brandon.
I think this takes us on to one of the bad points again, is that, like, because we're essentially playing Index Hammer at the moment, and if for people that don't know what I mean by that is, when it first came out, everyone got an index, which was one set of rules for an army, without the codexes. Your armies were quite one-dimensional. So, like, yeah, you could play whatever you wanted to play for Dark Eldar. You could take loads of Taloses, loads of pain engines, loads of floaty boats, and all this sort of stuff. But if you actually wanted to be competitive, you just spam Dark Lances. Yeah. And it was the same with, like, a lot of armies. They were quite, like, one-dimensional. And it was like, if that's how you want to play them and actually be competitive, you know, like, the first Imperial Guard list was all just indirect. Because all those indirect pieces have, like, doubled in points pretty much, and people are still using them.
Big time.
Imagine what they were like at the start of the edition.
Yeah, so this is an interesting chat. It's taking me back to, like, some of the first games I had. of 10th edition. I remember Luke came around for a game. I think it might have been the second game I had against Luke. First game I had against Luke was start of the league, and he absolutely smashed me with demons.
Yeah.
Completely smashed me with, the Bellacore turn up, drop a blood first, blow you up.
And then you can't shoot anything that's anywhere near him.
Not great when you just try to get your head around how to screen with your Imperial.
How to screen with Imperial
Yeah,
Knight.
and I was like, oh, okay, that's the problem.
Feels
and then
tasty.
the next second game I ever had against Luke was round here, and it was just so much indirect fire. It was a really good list, loads and loads of indirect fire, completely spammed it. So I think the point we wanted to start on, today's show we're talking about, Mike Hunt was a top rules winner.
Why'd you read it?
Because he's donated £2, so I just went straight in.
But
Mate,
come. I read it. I was like, I'm just going to ignore it.
Right. Well, let me just write Tom no dice on the list.
Tom no dice.
Tom. Well, in fact, he gave me the dice. Imagine
He's
him
the one
like,
that gave you
congrats, you won them back, Tom.
Just won them back.
They're coming straight back for you, mate.
Oh, mate.
If we're gonna talk about this, I think the first point we have to make is that it wasn't a good launch, and the rules were fairly wacky. There were some things that missed completely, and we're going to talk about how Warhammer 40,000 is right now. Like, what's your current experience of playing Warhammer 40,000 10th edition? But we can't really have that chat without accepting that if you zoom back and look at the beginning, the start was messy, and you had to do quite a lot of work to try and make a more balanced competitive game, because there's just no way on earth you could convince me that those Eldar lists were anything but completely and utterly stupid.
It was pointless. It wasn't even a game. Do
you
not remember?
Absolutely dumb. It was so bad.
Do you not remember like the first sort of Meta Mondays we looked at, and it was literally a case of it was like every event was just Eldar. Then there might be like one GSC list in there that had snuck in, and it was just every single event was the same, and it was like, what is even the point?
It was so bad. Guy, you read Guys out now. You read that one out. Go on, just go straight in.
I prefer I can't read it. Why can't I read it? Am I being dim low?
Scotch me cock. Oh, brilliant.
Yes, I managed to get Paul to read it.
Oh, is that just a trick?
He's just thrown a pen at me. You need your pen back.
Yeah, no, give me it back. Actually, I'm using it. That's my ledger. Right.
That's my ledger. Guys on the ledger. I'm on the ledger.
Yeah, that's 3 people on the ledger now. And we've only just started the ledger process, okay?
But yeah, and I think this is the way you've got to look at it, is it's like we started at a point when the game was, it was launched, and there's always going to be teething issues when something launches. But
I can't believe you just got me to read that out. Sorry, carry on.
But the whole thing was like, I just can't get how no one saw that was going to happen. And I think the problem is with GW sometimes is that it almost feels like they're so focused on like getting the product out there that they don't anticipate the people that are in this hobby and the people that will deep dive into these books and these codexes and these indexes and pick out like the one, like prime example, right? World Eaters can't put 8-bound in a Rhino because it says specifically no 8-bound models. Exalted 8-bound have a different keyword. They have the exalted 8-bound keyword. So technically, you can put them in a Rhino. And you're like, it's just stuff like that they don't pick up, but we do in the hobby. And someone will be like, oh yeah, by the way, you can put them in the... And they're like, no, they haven't got the right keyword. Be like, oh, that seems legit.
So I think you're spot on. So obviously, Games Workshop will be listening to this. I've got it on good authority that they, as soon as Tuesday morning, they sit round, they watch Meta Monday.
Yeah.
Because there's only, if you Google Meta Monday, only our show comes up on YouTube. So,
well, there's obviously a very serious one that comes up as well that clearly...
Oh, is there?
Oh, apparently so, mate. And,
I didn't realise.
Yeah, because, tried to throw some shade or something, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah.
Should we go there?
Not really sure what that was about.
On that note, like there is obviously been I'd call it sort of like, I wouldn't call it war. I'd just call it maybe
that was like me going, I'm going to be careful with my words here. I wouldn't necessarily call it full out war.
No, let me say this, okay? Let me say this on record. If they're up for a real, online battle, if they can just get their show to a point, I'm up for it. I mean,
why don't we settle it on the table?
I'm only up for setting it on the table if I can elect a representative, a champion. You know what I mean? Like they do in June.
Who would be your champion?
Tom.
Oh, Green. I'd probably put Adam in as my champion.
There are two champions. Tom, make it happen. Right.
Tom will. You know he'd be on their thing tonight, being like...
Brandon, I can see. Keeping an eye on what you're writing here, Brandon. You're not on my ledger yet, but you're not far off. I'm not turning into an effing dwarf, noting names in the back of his grudges. I have to keep track of the behaviour that takes place in this chat. Okay.
Different.
No.
What's going on?
There's a few of them. I've got my eye on all of them.
Oh, mate, I'm reading Liam Jordan's comment because he's about the only sensible person. You know when it's like
that is a comment I'd never thought I'd hear in my entire life. Liam Jordan is one of the only sensible people.
What's Jordan got up to in the past then?
I've known him for many years, since we were young men.
Yeah. Is he a normal man, or is he... Does he get up to some... She said she was... That's
I just want to let everybody
about Mr. Jordan.
I just want to let everybody know that I pressed the wrong button on the soundboard then, okay? I didn't mean to press she said she was 12 button. I meant to press.
We're just normal men.
Yeah, that's the one we went for, not the same.
No, he's a good lad. Go on. Let me finish making my point really quickly and we'll jump back to that.
Yeah.
Games Workshop do watch this show on
Avidly.
a Tuesday, and they do take the feedback. We have heard it on good authority that they,
Do you know what I've heard they've done?
Stop distracting me from my point, but go on.
I've heard they've moved their board meetings to a Tuesday morning.
That is
what they essentially do is watch this on a Tuesday morning and then basically update the game in line with what we've said.
Liam, listen, I know, we've got a lot of people in the chat live, and the show's going week on week, but we don't want to brag about it too much. But Liam and I have become quite big and serious influencers when it comes to Games Workshop.
I've decided to start turning up to events in a massive sheep wool fur coat, topless fur coat, millionaires walk in, like Conor McGregor.
Yeah, and something we will announce in the coming weeks is that we will be doing personal one-on-one life coaching sessions.
Nothing to do with Warhammer, just life coaching. There's different levels. There's, pole level, which is
careful.
Which is happily married man, clear, concise, good human being.
I'm worried.
There's then me that's in the middle. That's like, he's getting there. He's trying to sort himself out. He's making a good go of it.
You're getting all this wrong so far.
And then we're going to draft in Bareback Jack.
Don't say his name on this. Don't say every week. For the third time, you've distracted me from my key point. So I'm going to write down key points still to be made, okay? Every week I say, don't say that man's words in my house. And not only do you say it on the stream every week, basically, me and my wife sit down with Liam before the show, we have a chat. And it's basically become, let's update Georgia on this man's movements.
Well, we'll do the After Dark show and we'll tell you about his movements from the weekend, because there was some actual movements at the weekend.
More than movements.
God.
Needs a hospital.
Telly's in.
Can I please make this point? Games Workshop, watch the show. Okay, this is the third time I say this. But that last interruption was very good.
Okay,
I'm glad you did it. Games Workshop, watch the show. We've become very high-level influencers, so they are watching. So our main message is the ugly element of Warhammer 40,000 10th edition was the awful imbalance, and if they were to ever do a new edition, which they obviously are going to do, because they've done it 10 times, please don't launch a game where all the rule books for the different armies, the codexes, have been made in isolation for each other. It creates really bad experiences, and it forces us to bully Eldar players.
So, question for you, right?
Go on then.
Would you have preferred, knowing what you know now, would you have preferred 10th edition to be launched 3 to 6 months later, but to be in the position it is now? So they would have had 6 months more play testing to get to where they are now? Or were you happy that it launched 9 months ago and we went through that process to get to where we are now? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get you. I'm going to ask chat. So we're going to do a live poll. What would you... So which would you have preferred?
Yeah.
So prefer... And sorry for my spelling, because I've got sunglasses on the screens miles away from me. Which you prefer? Launchers did.
Yeah.
Have I put launch there or lunch? Launchers did. Or... wait 6 and get current.
Yeah.
I'm I'm going to put it in, then I'm going to say what I would start, Paul. I would have preferred Weight, because I actually thought 9th edition had just got...
9th edition felt like
just
it had
before
just
they brought
got
10th
balanced.
out, I was like, this is feeling good. Like, this is in a good spot.
Yeah.
I was really happy with it. And then it was like 10th. Oh, okay.
I personally, I'm mixed on it. I quite like the fact that it came out as it did, because it gave people a lot to talk about. And it created quite a lot of like...
What do you mean, a lot to talk about?
Well, it created that, like, you know, we sit here and we talk about 40k. It gave us stuff to talk about, didn't it?
Oh, I see. As it gave a big chunk of content.
Yeah, it gave you chunks, and it gave you chunks to talk about with your mates, and you'd sit in groups going, oh, this is... But at the same time, the game now, I think, is in a good spot. And it would have been nice for it just to be there to start with.
It would, wouldn't it?
And not feel as kind of... That we've had this bit of a roller coaster with like, oh yeah, like so-and-so's really good, oh, and then they've come off again, and then oh, and then oh, and all these people like jumping about and stuff.
I think that kind of brings us on to the ugly bit. We are going to finish on all the good stuff, and there's lots of good stuff. We're not just going to be like, this isn't... sorry, it just kicked me out of YouTube. This isn't just going to be us beating on 40k, because it's awesome, and we love it. We talk about it every week, and we play it every
Let's
week.
be fair, we give up hours and hours of our week to talk about it.
A lot of time talking about this game. I'll end the poll in a second and see what people come up with. I'll do it now, actually. So, I mean, well, it's pretty close, actually. What's that, 43, 53, 46, is that?
Yeah. So, yeah, like, really, and this
pretty
is...
divided. That's the ugly. The ugly is the game's launch was absolutely all over the place. Did give us loads to think about. One of the things that me and you had put down was kind of like the bad bits, and this was really weirdly just as I was posting an incorrect link to the show on the Discord while I was walking up the stairs. I was just flicking through a Discord that I read and I'm part of, and there was nothing to do with this show. I just scrolled up a bit, and there was someone saying they feel like Warhammer 40,000 at the moment is just like, it's almost a bit of a roller coaster of balance. So like you get your army and you get your faction. And you start playing your faction. You're like, right, cool, here we go. Got my faction. And then once you've kind of got your list and your models painted, which we know requires a lot of investment, you're kind of on there's not much stability. It's like a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like Tyranids are an example. This chap played Tyranids actually, and he was like, you know, Tyranids just feel like we've just gone like up, down, and now we can't. And now they're in a bit of a slump. So like when Nids came out, we had quite high hope. I remember us talking about Nids. I bought a load and being like, they look cool. There's some cool ideas, cool factions. These non-emissaries, they're really cool. Nice new models. They've got the Death Leaper, awesome models, awesome rules. And I'm not saying Tyranids are absolutely, you know, I think they've definitely got game. We'll look at the Meta Monday stats at the end of the show, but I think their win rates are like 45-ish.
Spoiler alert: it's them and Space Marines are the worst this week. But
are they bottom two?
Yeah. But I think I understand what the person's saying, but at the same time, you know, the meta moves anyway. So the meta, even if the rules stay the same, the meta will always move because something will come to the top, and then people will then, you know, devise a way of beating whatever's come to the top. So that will then be float, but there'll always be a counter to that as well. And I think the issue with, I don't know if it's maybe with Tyranids and Space Marines a little bit, is everyone else is so highly focused on what works for their faction at this moment in time. Those two guys are the ones with the biggest codexes, the most rules, probably some of the largest model ranges and data sheets you've got in the game.
Oh, big time.
And trying to then make a list that works in that people are still exploring and finding their feet. You think Sisters players, it took them 8 months to get to the point they are now, and they've only got one set of rules. You know, it's a constantly moving target, and it's a harder moving target for them because they've got so many more pieces within that puzzle to try and create. It's
difficult. I get it. I get it's hard. I think the rolling codex release creates that, right? It's this kind of
it just creates codex creep as well, though, doesn't it? That's the problem.
Sometimes, though, but some stuff's come out and it hasn't crept. Like
Admech. Does everyone even remember that Admech got a codex?
Do people still play Admech?
Mate, they won an event this week.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Admech sort of like, I don't know. We did talk about Admech the other week, didn't we? And
do you know what I think the problem is as well with some of it is was it Tau? And I was listening to something about the Tau Codex the other day. And it's really obvious that the Tau Codex was still written at the beginning of the edition because of the way some of the interactions in the Codex work. So what GW have done is they've probably written 10 of the codexes and they know what their next 18-month release schedule is. The problem is that as they're releasing those codexes, they've then realised that some of the rules interactions don't work properly and are FAQing stuff out of codexes that are already previously written. And it's, I understand why they do it because they need a release schedule. But if you're going to pre-write all the codexes, just drop them all at the same time then.
Well, this would be my suggestion if they wanted to alleviate some of that roller coaster experience. But I think from a corporate perspective, it kind of works in the favour a little bit, the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Because if you can create, it's quite clever in a way. And I'm not saying it's like some grand conspiracy.
It's a psyop.
I'd like to ask the chat: is this a psyop? In fact, this is could be an interesting poll. Do they think they do this on purpose? Like, is rules creep on purpose?
And I think I've said this in the past, and I know I'm wrong on this, but it does sometimes feel that like GW are like, oh, we've got X amount of these models sort of sat around in our warehouse. Do we give them a little buff? Do we give them a little buff and like push the sales on that just to try and clear? And they obviously don't do that. Like that's just a ridiculous notion that someone's like in a stock room somewhere going, we got to get these Land Rover Redeemers gone, boys. We got to get them gone. Right. Drop them X amount of points and give them this gun. Watch them all fly out the door. Then we'll nerf them in 6 months again.
Do you think they don't do that?
I can't see. I cannot see.
I think they will a little bit.
Do you think they're that calculated with it?
Yeah, I think they are.
How?
I think what happens is the rule designers sit down with a production manager type character or whatever, someone basically who sits outside the rules team and like a project manager and has a sight on sales and all that sort of stuff. And I reckon they go, so for this release, this percentage of the faction over here doesn't see a lot of play, i.e. people like buying the models.
Yeah.
This lot over here sees loads.
Yeah.
So look at like the Marine, what was all Centurion Devastators and all that lot. Do you remember the 9th edition? They were, there was a phase when they were really good. What was that? Was that 9th or 8th?
I don't remember.
They were really, really, really good. Yeah. And then beginning of this edition, they were just like super average.
Look at it. Okay. Biggest ones I always remember are the Tyrannid monsters. So when the Tyranids Codex came out, trying to get hold of a Maleceptor, Carnifexes, what's the big one with a gun on its back?
Exocrine.
The Exocrine. Trying to get hold of any of those sort of models is impossible.
What's the Crusher Stampede?
Because of that Crusher Stampede thing. Edition. Yeah, but that was a White Dwarf detachment, wasn't it? That wasn't in a book.
Yeah, it wasn't even in a book.
So I don't know if they were like, oh, look, we've got all of these Carnifexes and these big nids sat around, these big bugs sat around. Oh, do you know what? Just do a little cheeky Crusher Stampede. Oh, look, they're all magically gone. I can't imagine they do that. I reckon.
I think there must be an element of the matching the stock level to the. If they're sat there and they're like, no one is buying these models, do they just resign themselves to the fact no one's going to buy them, or do they give them a little tickle? Anyway, the point I'm making is the way in which the game currently releases creates this kind of roller coaster, and I don't know if I mentioned it. I think 3-4 episodes ago. Once I used to play this game called War Machine.
Did you?
What? Did I not bring it up?
I've never heard you mention War Machine. What is?
Oh, there's a few trophies up there. From
oh, what? Like second place?
Which soundboard should I put
Which soundboard am I getting the pen thrown at me again?
Crunching a pen. Like, why is this new camera setup just lets you see fully? No, so I used to play this game, and what they would do is they would release all the rules at the beginning with the rule book. So it would be like every faction gets a new thing, and they would bring new models out, but it would kind of slot in. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that's easy for GW to do, but when rules designers have the freedom to make sure everything comes out at once, released and balanced, then I think it creates a better game. Whereas one of the bad sides to 40k is, well, it's a bad and a good in that lots of releases are exciting. Yeah. So like every month we have new stuff to talk about. Tower coming out, you've got Guard coming out soon, you've got Custodies coming out. Be interested if the bikes get better.
But that's
the thing, there's no way you're looking at the Custodes faction and going, let's leave bikes as they are. Because no one's playing the bikes.
I am yet to see a custodian's list with a bike or a dreadnought in it. The only thing you see outside the infantry is those tanks.
And the dreads used to be... There used to be loads of the cool dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
Sometimes see the tanks.
Yeah, you see the tanks. You don't see any dreads or any bikes.
And every single army, it's always got the bikes in.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit like that. But the downside is it does create a flux. And I think for a lot of players that don't have huge budgets or just getting into the game and they buy their army and they paint it up, or they enter a league like the league we're playing in Brighton, and then they realise, like, oh, in fact, there was a lad in the league that I played that was playing Thousand Sons, and he was just a bit deflated because he played, he got smashed in a lot of games. He kind of only just realised through that process that, like, oh, actually, these aren't that good. But they might be good. So that creates this kind of I
think this is another point that sort of leads us on with the good and the bad of 40k. I think in a good way, this game can be played at multiple levels. So you can take your index and you can go and you can buy whatever you want from that army, and you can put 2,000 points together and you can put it on a table against someone that's doing the same thing as you, and you can have a fun game. You can sit there and you can have the weirdest, most off-piste list. But if you're both doing that, and you both are getting to know the game and playing it super cash, it's just a fun game to play, isn't it? Move some models around, do some shooting, roll some dice.
100%.
But then you can get into that stage with this game where you are playing competitive games of 40k. There's nuances with movement and interaction with stratagems and how certain units work with others and stuff like that. Where this game goes very wrong is when you put those two players together on a table and just watch the carnage just absolutely ensue, and you end up with these stupid 100 to 15 results, and they scored 10 for painted, and that's it. And you're like, oh, well, that wasn't... And that's almost the problem, is you can play this game at such a high level, or you can play it as, I'm going to push models around and make beep beep sounds and stuff like that. And, it's great at both of those levels. But there's got to be some sort of way of defining which one you're playing at, if you know what I mean. There's nothing worse than turning up and someone just getting absolutely battered. It's
that's been the eternal challenge of Warhammer 40,000, I think, is that the rules are easy to pick up and get your head around. The rules aren't particularly complicated or over the top.
Basic rules aren't.
Yeah, just as in you're going to teach someone how to play the game. Yeah. But the codex creep, or the regularity of new stuff and new rules that's kind of getting fed into the system, and the fact that they're working so far ahead, as you've mentioned, means that they're they've missed something 8 months ago, and we're just only experiencing what they've missed now, and then they have to catch up and work it out and redesign it. I think that can create an experience for the new player, or just kind of the regular player, where it does feel a little bit roller coaster. And it depends who you play. It depends if you've got an opponent who can look at your list and be like, okay, I'm probably not going to take what I was going to take because it'll just blow you. You know what I mean? Let's try and make a good game rather than I'll bring my absolute apex list. And try and smash you off the board.
And I think people have got to recognise and I think this is quite hard because it's almost self-reflection on it, and recognise where you feel that you are in the game, and recognise that if I bring that list and my opponent sends me a list and it's, we were talking about Nurgling jail in one of our chats today, and just taking 6 bases and 9 Nurglings and just covering the board in Nurglings, and watch someone just turn up with that and be like, I don't even know what's going on. Is it working? Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Just absolutely mental. But making sure that social contract, as we always talk about, both of you agree on it and agree how you're going to play the game. Where I think that social contract goes out the window a little bit is when you're playing at a tournament and you're playing a competitive game.
Oh yeah, no, that's different. If you go to a tournament or whatever, you just unless you go to an event like Funhammer where the lists are a bit more pushed and tailored towards don't just take the most meta list, take something a bit daft, a bit fun, a bit off meta.
And I think this is the best thing about an event like Funhammer is, apart from the fact it's run by 2 top boys, is the fact that there isn't a winner.
A couple of gangsters.
There isn't a winner. They're doing that. There isn't a winner. You just play, and the prizes are not for who wins, who does it. It's who's bought the most creative list, whose army looks the coolest, who's done something really off-piste, and just having fun with it. And I think that's the way that you have to differentiate these elements of the hobby. I think that there's these super competitive people, then there's people that just actually want to go have a couple of beers and roll some dice. And I think 40k allows you to do that, but you've just got to make sure you're in the right pot when you're
definitely.
doing it.
So we talked. We'll read out some bits from the chat in a second. Liam's going in now. If there's anything that's caught your eye, Liam.
No, I'm just having a quick look. Sorry,
these boys. The poll that we did then is rules creep on purpose. 64% yes, 35% no. So strong lean towards yes, but still a chunk that think otherwise. Where was Tom's comment about Dark Eldar? Tom made a comment saying some of the best units in the Dark Eldar Index don't even have models anymore. Mandrakes and Beast Packs. Like Dark Eldar I think definitely one of those factions that need a decent codex release and like an evaluation of the model. Like Tom were playing with models which are basically antiques against me.
But then I think a lot of armies are now. You look at Eldar have had a bit of a... I know you're saying normal Eldar. Some of their aspect warriors, mate, are as old as we are, I think. I remember them being the aspect warriors when I played in third edition.
Have the Warp Spider models ever changed?
No. I don't think
I remember when they came out as a kid, they're like that. They're still like that.
I think they're still like that. And the, what was the other one? The Striking Scorpions have only just got an update. The Howling Banshees got one a while ago.
Yeah, Eldar and all, like, they're
Eldar and old ones, man. Like, old. But then I think a lot of armies have that. I think you look at some of the Orc range. Some of the Orc range is pretty ancient, I think. They're giving them updates. Yeah, but let's look at it properly, though. Look at how thick was that Space Marine index you bought? Like the cards. It was absolutely huge, wasn't it?
Listen, I could kill a toddler with this. Not that I would.
I mean, I'm not condoning it.
But no, it's sort of like...
Yeah, it's like a brick.
Super heavy.
And I've just ordered the Orc one, and the Orc one's much the same. And you're like, there's no way that you can just keep range refreshing these massive armies. Space Marines get a lot of love because they're the poster boys. But
they've had a solid refresh with the Primaris models. Like, that's been a nice refresh for a lot of players. But they're the best faction to play, as I said last week.
Mate, how did I...
people so angry.
Mate, how did you... But, like, I was triggered. I don't get triggered by a lot, but that got me. I was like, how have you even gone there?
Don't reopen it. Tom says, be nice about my third edition models. No, they're great, mate. It's good. They're good. They're still good
looking models.
Still good on the table, looking good. Warp Spiders turned 30 this year. My God,
mate, that's what I'm saying, mate. I remember them when I played back in the day.
That is mad.
There was another. Who's the other one? There's another one that I think was quite old out of those aspect warriors that have been.
Let us know in the chat if you can fit.
The
challenge chat.
The Swooping Hawks ones. The Swooping Hawks ones are ancient as well.
I'd love to know what chat think the oldest current sculpt is.
What is the oldest?
What is the current model that you see on a table with some level of regularity that has just been left there forever? What's the oldest sculpt?
Oh,
let chat get on the case.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about, we've kind of criticised Games Workshop's like botching of the release a little bit. We've talked about like the roller coaster bit. We're going to talk about how great the game is because we're not anti-GW by any sense of the word. There are some bits of the rules that feel a bit clunky and I don't really like, particularly the terrain. For a game as good as 40k, I'm surprised that the terrain rules still feel so archaic. And I've made this point over and over again. I'm going to do it again. It's not about War Machine. Please, Games Workshop, design a game where line of sight is based on the base size rather than actual line of sight.
Don't even get me started on
so easy to do.
It's just
different
so annoying.
Base sizes can see over different size bits of terrain, and you use a laser pen to see if you can see it. That's literally it.
Mate, there's nothing...
You can still get down to table level if you want and see if the base can see their base. You can still do the whole get down to the model's level. Just look at the base level. This whole... I find it so
just
stupid.
Does my head in. And I've now got to the point, right, even just with my little Custodes guys, that some of them have got spears that stick out. And I'm like, I've genuinely got to like... think, oh, right, I've got a stack of... And then I have to say to my opponent, like, right, some of them are on the first floor. Yeah, I heard you doing this at the weekend. But they're not on the first floor because I can't actually physically get them in there because I can't turn the model around. But then some people use it for their fudging advantage as well. I played a guy at LGT and he stuck his Mortarian's wing out the side and was like, off the tip of that wing I can see. And you're like, yeah, because his wingspan's out 10 foot, mate. You can see everything on the board. You're like, it should just be the base.
It's crazy.
It should just be the base. Because you've got some, and then certain people, like, it feels like they like you said with the, what are they called? The Death Leaper, not the Death Leaper, but who is little cronies?
Lictor. The
lictors, that you can model them in a way that's more advantageous.
Oh, yeah, that one. You've got the squatting one.
You've got the one that's like squatted down, like half height, or you've got one with all his bits stuck up in the air.
Why?
Like...
So, yeah, Lictor number A. Where's my camera? There. Lictor number B.
Yeah.
Like, why would you ever want this Lictor when he's, like, sticking up?
Yeah. And
you would always just... Surely you would always go with him.
And you just see, like, I can see that corner of his thing sticking out. And you're like, are we...
He never wants line of sight to anything.
No.
All he's going to do is charge you in it. Like this, you would always take this.
Yeah, it's just a weird...
Love those models there. They're like, I love Lictors.
But yeah, I think there's certain interactions like that, and then it's this whole thing about like we were discussing it when I played Matt on the stream with his flyer. You're like, what am I charging? Am I charging the base, or am I charging a point on the model that I'm then 5 inches vertically up from, so I can technically attack it? And you're like, someone's in the chat's like, well, you've got to charge the base. You're like, well, if I've got to charge the base, then he's got to use the base for his line of sight, because otherwise it's just bollocks, isn't it? Because I now model everything in a way that's advantageous to me. And you just get into these like weird, stupid interactions.
Yeah, I wish they'd fix that. Someone's commenting in the chat that I should get a vape because I keep chewing my pen. I ain't shown you these. But I'm a fidget. You know I'm a fidget. You sat next to me. But like, if I've got a pen, I feel a pen. Georgia bought me these the other day. This is my wife.
Uh-oh, he's gone under the table, boys. I don't know where he's gone. Don't knock a camera over.
She bought me these.
What are those for? Tits and a nut. Oh, I wasn't expecting it to feel like that.
Absolutely disgusting, lads.
Mate, are we not going to get banned for this?
Oh, you're not meant to show stuff like that on the stream, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's all right, it's not real.
Wish I hadn't got those out now.
Sometimes I regret this is live.
Sometimes I regret decisions that are made on a live stream.
It'd be much easier doing this on live, but then we won't get all you lovely people in the chat, so we are still happy it's live. Let's talk about terrain. So terrain, we think is a little bit ropey.
I think
line of sight.
What I'd say with terrain is I don't think the rules around terrain are that ropey. I think the rules in the book are fine. I think the issue is people don't read the book, so they don't actually know what the fucking terrain. Oh, sorry, don't know what terrain does. But I think that then you go to an event and all the terrain's different. Or you play at like the club on a Tuesday night and it's like, which box of terrain have I grabbed? Is it going to be good, advantageous for me, not advantageous? Then shout out to Pete, he's actually made the Perspex basis for it all. And you're just like, is this just confusing me more? Like, and then you have to like build bits up and be to people like, yes, that's not there, but it is there.
And people just play it so different. Like I've had games where it's just completely different interpretation of the rules and like it's not ideal. It's fine once you've got a community of people that all start playing it the same way and there's a level of experience at the club or your gaming group where they're like, oh, that terrain we play is that's the other, and you just clear it up at the beginning of the game. It's fine, you crack on. But if you're just having like rando games or whatever, that's very confusing.
And someone like pours out their terrain that they've been collecting over 4 years, and it's all just completely
it's like
different.
Lego, just absolutely all over the place. There are a couple of, before we get onto the good, because there's plenty of good stuff.
The issue is everyone has cover.
There is so much cover.
Mate, if you play it properly, every unit should have cover all the time, essentially. There's no way that you should ever have cover at the moment, the way the rules are written. I remember having like a discussion with Adam. Me and Adam played at his once, and we did this weird interact. And he was like, "You don't have." I was like, "No, mate, I have cover." He was like, "I don't think you have cover." And I was like, "Mate, I've got cover." He was like, "But I just don't get how you can have cover." And I was like, "Mate,
he's in the chat. Give him that time."
Tell him about the time that you thought I didn't have cover and I did have cover. And it was like, and you just like, but it's those weird interactions where you're like, the rules written so badly that it feels wrong, even when you're playing it right.
Especially vehicles. Like, vehicles are forever in cover.
You just leave a little... Just watch Stu and his sodding Baneblade. He just literally puts a little bit of the track behind something and then turns the turret round to wherever he wants it to do. You know, that was the best bit when I was playing Alex, and he moved one of his tanks and then turned the turret to actually point at what he was shooting. I was like, that's the most guard player thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. Like that with the turret. I was like, what are you doing?
Little sound effects of it all as well. Mate. Adam says, Tom said, ignores cover is better than AP1 in 10.
100%. Like, literally 1,000,000% better than AP1. I'd take AP1 ignores cover over AP2 all day long.
That just shows how strong it is, and there's maybe a bit too much of it. Big Old Jim says, hi guys, glad to catch you guys on Saturday Teams tournament. Tom, hey. All right, Tom. Good to chat to you, mate. Thanks for coming over and having a word with us at the tournament. It was good to see you. Did you enjoy the event? You guys must have enjoyed the event. You won. You won the event. Well done, boys.
Tom was a really nice chap that came up and said hello to me. But I was a bit dazed at that moment, Tom, when you were talking to me. I was still a little bit wavy when you came up and said hello to me.
Fresh.
Well, I wasn't fresh. That was the problem.
Yeah, it was unfresh.
I was unfresh. I was clean, but I was unfresh.
Did we decide what the oldest model is?
I think someone did put something in the chat. Gene Stealers. I thought the Gene Stealers had been done.
Genes? No, Gene Stealers got refreshed.
Gene Stealers got refreshed.
Warp Spiders are 30. Fire Dragon, probably the oldest.
Oh,
Fugans are pretty old. Terranod says Azura Man.
Azure Man.
I'm so good at reading out names,
Yeah, I mean, at least it wasn't like, big Latinas again.
Good Tom. Good comment from Tom Green. He says Debbie McGee is a pretty old model.
Still runs though, didn't she?
Oh, she runs all right.
Oh, that's how Deb's run, didn't she?
It's fucking disgusting.
Why have you gone for that one?
It is disgusting. Your obsession with Debbie McGee.
I'm not obsessed. I mentioned it once and it's really turned into something it's not.
If Debbie McGee was out in Can I ask you this question?
I mean, I'd rather you didn't.
Okay. Tyranid Warriors are old.
I just don't want to lie.
Back to that live stream issue.
Yeah, back to that live stream issue and the fact that anyone can access this.
Yeah.
The fact I caught someone at work watching this the other day in the meeting room.
I just got some fake tits out and had them on the screen.
Yeah, that's the least of my problems. Did you see what the other one is?
Literally an ass as well.
Yeah, that's the least of my problems, I suspect.
I mean, the biggest problem you'll have is someone becomes a member and goes back and watches the After Darks.
Ooh, yeah.
That's your biggest issue.
That could be a problem, couldn't it?
We might have to put a shelf life on them just to stop.
What's the?
It's like every day we're gambling.
Every day I'm rolling those dice.
Become a member and go back and watch me.
What's the statute of limitations on that?
Yeah.
I'm worried.
Yeah, I am genuinely concerned.
There are a couple of rules that we picked out as being bad. We are going to go into good stuff, by the way. I know I keep saying this, but we're being quite negative. But
no, but we're
still an amazing game.
We're sprinkling the good stuff in as we go, aren't we?
Debbie Bareback.
Why have you just read it out? Oh God!
Savage. Overwatch
was.
I'm still not happy with it. You made a good point earlier that it's not as bad as it was.
It's nowhere near as prevalent as it was. Like, it used to be awful. Like, awful.
You used to be able to do it every... You used to be
able to do it in the shooting phase and the charging phase.
Sorry, the movement
phase and the charge phase. So you used to be able to do it twice a turn. Just absolutely ridiculously broken.
Heavily... Oh, I've had top chat on. Look, you've not been able to see all the actual chat. I do that every week, don't I?
Overwatch can do one, yeah. But Luke, it can, literally. Tank Shock is another one we were going to talk about. It's just stupid. Tank shot, grenade, shot, and Overwatch. Overwatch can all just get in the bin.
Grim. Yeah,
can all just get in the bin. Completely pointless.
I know Overwatch isn't as bad as it was, but it's still proper. Like, let's look at that game where I don't know if I mentioned it, but I lost against Brandon live on stream. I had a Warglaive charges Hellblasters It wasn't as bad. If you do the maths, it shouldn't have died. Overwatch, dead. Couldn't even use my broken stratagem tank shock. Right?
to then just delete a few of them as well.
It is so frustrating to not be able to execute plans based on the fear of Overwatch. It's the fact that it can be so good. With some of those guts, 40k's got so much lethality. If it was like, charge that and just the max it's going to do, let's say Overwatch was just capped at a certain amount of wounds it could do or something, and maybe a bit. No, like
I think Guy makes a very good point as well. Is torrent weapons shouldn't be able to Overwatch. So I've had this before where I had like my Sanguinor dropped in so they charged, I dropped in, I killed what charged, and then they had some warp spiders. They had some warp spiders in that corner as well. So I then went to move my Sanguinor and they're like, I'll Overwatch. I was like, cool, what's the Overwatch? They were like, 4d6 flamers. So 4d6 auto hits, then dev wounds on like a 5-up. So they're rolling like, on average, like 16 dice, and every sodding whatever is a dev wound. And you're like, well, I just can't move then, can I? So what, I'm just going to stand here? And then they were like, well, all I'll then do is I'll just shoot you in the next turn anyway. You're like, well, okay then. Well, all right then. This has just made the game really boring.
It's a bit like the breach thing. Do you remember when I played your breach list?
Yeah.
Similar thing where you just stuck between a rock and a hard place.
You're like, I need to move, but I physically can't.
Yeah, especially if you're playing a melee army like Tyranids, which I was doing. You're like, well, the only way they're going to die is if I get in melee.
Yeah.
So you may as well just go for it and hope they roll absolutely abysmally just to give you a chance. But breaches were bonkers on Overwatch. Yeah,
there was a lot of re-rolls and a lot of sustained and stuff like that, which was the issue, I think.
The fact that you could do it multiple times was awful. So good that that's been toned down. Still feels like a really, really, really strong stratagem. Yeah. Tank shock, I think, is on the edge of being stupid. I
think you shouldn't be able to tank shock like monsters and other vehicles because it just feels really stupid. Like I remember having anger on, and then like a rhino comes in and tank shocks him and kills him, and you're like, that just doesn't for me feel.
Well, it's capped at 5 though.
You know, but he was on like 3 wounds
a lot of mortals
already.
Yeah. 5 mortals is a lot.
Yeah, he was on like 3 wounds or something. And the rhino just drove into him and killed him, and you're like, oh, that's great. Like, should that really be? Is that what should be happening? Like, I can understand like a tank driving over infantry. I get the point in that.
Yeah, and it does give give vehicles a bit of punch. I really wish that rule was replicated into monsters.
Yeah, I think monsters.
Tyranids need something like that.
I think you should only be able to tank shock stuff that's like T4 and below or something. Like, so put a toughness cap on it. So say like if your models are T4 and below, you can be tank shocked.
Tank shocked, yeah.
Because you're not tough enough to withstand the tank driving at you.
Yeah.
But the fact that like a rhino drives an Angron or a knight and then kills it, and you're like, well, that's just ridiculous. Like, well, why? I don't.
Yeah, it's upsetting. It's super strong. I think I would put them in this order. I'd put Overwatch as the worst, then the grenade strat.
Grenade is just.
That's a 4-up.
It's a 4-up on 6 dice or something, isn't it? Each 4-up's immortal.
Bonkers. And then tank shock.
Yeah. I think.
Because there's a lot of lethality in 40k. Vehicles can get. You know what I mean? It's not like vehicles are difficult to kill in this edition because most armies have bonkers shooting somewhere in it.
Yeah, I think every army I would suggest have a unit or 2 units that can at least deal damage to a vehicle. Apart from the Kroot. The Kroot don't have a way of dealing with vehicles, but let's not talk about them.
But they do get these dice, so keep going in the chat. Whoever's contributed the most, Liam and I will vote at the end. You get these lovely Kroot dice. Should we say some good stuff about Warhammer 40,000?
Go on, then you start.
I like the artwork in the rule.
The balance of the game at this
moment.
It's
good now. I think they've got it to a point now where Warhammer 40,000 is the rules are smooth, the experience at the table with a player that hasn't meted against you or taking something that's, you don't know what it's doing. On average, you get a really, really good game. I think there are some clunks with it that we don't like, but none of the things that we've mentioned are at the point by which it gives us a negative play experience anymore. No. Like, Overwatch is good, Tank Shock is good, Grenade Strat's good, blah, 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 blah. The terrain rules are a bit annoying, but you never leave a game being like, that game was wrecked by that rule. It was just something you kind of like have a little grumble at and you think they could do differently.
Yeah.
If you zoom out and like, what's the whole experience like of playing Warhammer 40,000? I think it's really good.
Yeah, 100%.
And do you know what? I don't like the roller coaster thing, and they bring stuff out all the time. But there's always something to talk about and discuss with Warhammer 40,000. I hope they can maintain this roller coaster where it's just a little bit of a dip and a dive. Tau come out, Tau do quite well because people don't really know what to do, but then it settles back down again. It's all right. What we don't is that like Tau do really well because they're bent and now they have to change them and they've gone down a bit and now they're doing really well. We don't want those big dips. And I think the last data slate, I think they did a really good job of just, aggressively sorting out the stuff that was bonkers and keeping it on a fairly level playing field.
And what I would say is we've done the shows with Tom before, and it's been like pre-data slate. You're like, what's going to get a tickle? What's going to get a little up, little down? At this moment in time, there's not a great amount I can think of that's going to get an up and a downy.
There's Tyranids. Tyranids needs a little bit of love, but I don't know if that's something the data slate could really quickly fix because it's just it's a shooting edition. Oh, they're not doing awful. There are some Tyranids lists that are doing okay.
But I think I think the problem is that there's certain interactions that Games Workshop don't anticipate, and like this whole Inceptors 3-inch deep strike, and then now Necrons have got it, and now Tau have got it, and it's like. This is going to be this 3-inch deep strike starting to get a bit annoying now. Like I'm cool with it. Land next to me, I don't care. But like for some
you're playing
armies,
custodians at the moment, so you're just like, yeah, fine.
Yeah, fine. I want you there.
Get close.
I'm going to roll some 4-ups and hope for the best.
Yeah, get close.
But like for other armies, you're just like, oh my god, it's so
too difficult.
Dull.
It's too difficult to screen. I think the balancing element of deep strike. We're back onto negative again, but the balancing element of deep strike is you can screen 9 inches fairly effectively without that many models. It's 2 models within, 18 inches of each other? Well, 17 inches of each other, and then you're not deep. You can kind of build that in your movement phase and look after yourself. But when it comes to I'm going to drop down 3 inches away.
And Grey Knights. Oh, sorry, there's a unit of Terminators in your backfield now. Oh, great. Well, there's not really a lot I can do.
So that's maybe another like frustrating bit of the game. But it's the current balance is such that those sort of things are strong, but they're not absolutely broken. Yeah. Like they were at the beginning of the edition, like the fake dice mechanic and some of the things that came out the oven at the start of 10th were super bad. So I think the good thing about the game is they've got it to a point by which it feels balanced. Yeah. It feels like there's regular updates of like exciting and interesting stuff coming out. That they profess to reduce the complexity of the game. They've definitely reduced the numbers of... Do you remember when there was just like so many stratagems you didn't know what you were doing?
But there will be.
But so that's a good debate in itself. Is 10th edition less complicated than 9th? It was at the beginning because everybody had one detachment.
By the end.
But by the end, once everybody's got 3 detachments, each with a different set of stratagems.
Space Marines have got 8 detachments. Space Marines have got a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
So Marines had... Gladius, then they had the Sons of Sanguinius, the Wolves one, and a couple of others. Then they bought a book out that had a load more in it.
Yeah, there is a lot for Marines, but then they're a broad faction. They're a big faction compared to the. I still think it feels less complicated than the last edition because the last edition you had to be like, what faction are you playing? I'm playing Knights.
Yeah.
You then had to kind of know all the stratagems, which was a lot. There was like 50. Well, there was a lot.
Yeah,
there was a lot of stratagems.
Ridiculous amount. And
then you had to know the missions.
3 of them or 4 of them.
Yeah, and then you had to know the missions that they were taking.
Yeah,
that's a lot. At least now you're like, what detachment you're playing? Gladius. Right. Well, I know the main strats from that. Because you think Gladius and you think about a small. I just think it's easy for your brain to remember stratagems underneath like one detachment rather than just this huge thing. Or you can grab the rulebook and be like, oh, just remind me of your main stratagems. Cool, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, but do you not think that's the way it is now anyway?
No, that's what I mean. It is like that now. No, but I think that's easier than just having.
Do you not think that's the way it was in 9th anyway? Because with Knights, how many strats did you actually use?
Yeah, no, I only used like 3.
So you knew rotate ion shields. The one that made the Armingers shoot better if 3 of them were shooting at one thing.
Yeah.
There was 4 or 5 strats that you used. The rest of them were complete and utter nonsense. So you didn't have to worry about them.
That's true. Maybe it's, I don't know. I'll have to.
And then what they've introduced now, which I don't know if it made a difference in ninth, I can't really remember, is this whole thing of what the stratagem is. So is it a battle tactic, or is it an epic deed, or is it this, or is it that, which then interacts with the vecting, but also the captain using it for free. So, like, yeah, they might have simplified it with less of them, but there's then more rules and interactions around using them and how they're used. And I think this goes back to what we were saying at the start is there's two ways to play this game. There's a very simple way to play this game, and there's a much more complex where you almost are taking on all of those rules and playing at a higher level, both of which are great ways of playing the game, but they've just got to be taken on their own attributes and understand that that's how you're playing the game.
I think that's a fair comment. I'd love to hear from the chat whether they think which is more complex, 8 or 9. If I give it another 10 seconds, then I'll end it. What else do we like about it at the moment?
I like the app. I'm really sad.
The app is good. The app is
really good.
The app is a lot better after the last update, where you can just quickly get all the rules.
Oh yeah, you've got the little bit where you get the rules up.
Yeah, app is really good.
Really good, mate.
I think people would grumble that you have to pay. The bit that the app's cool. You can get the information quick. The bit that's a little bit annoying. Sorry, it gets to a point anyway. It really starts to hit your head.
Yeah, I've got a big nut and that's the problem.
What was I just saying?
Something about the app and having to pay for it.
Oh yeah, you have to pay for it. Well, I don't mind the paying to get the app. The bit that I don't like is if I wanted to get all the rules, I have to buy the codex every single time.
I think if you're paying for
that's a little bit lame.
I think if you're paying for the app, the rules should just be on there. And if you want the codex, you go and buy the codex for the artwork. Because the codexes are effing pointless anyway. Because all the points in the back of them are wrong. Half the data sheets are sodding wrong because they change them and they change the rules and all of that sort of stuff. So the only reason you're really buying the codex is for the artwork and the lore anyway.
And so I think most people that play, if that's like your faction, you'll buy the codex.
Yeah,
you could put a bit of fluff in. You know what I mean? You put the fluff in. It's just nice to have the book at your table or whatever. I think people would still buy it. But if they just went, do you know what? It's £5 for the app.
Yeah.
A year, whatever it is.
A month, yeah.
A month. So I'm little I know about what's on my phone. £5 a month.
Yeah.
But for like £10, you get all the rules when they come out.
Yeah.
I'd be interested. They might just make more money making it a tenner rather than try to sell the codexes.
Yeah.
Because eventually what happens is people put it up on a website that you can see anyway, like Warpedia or whatever.
Yeah.
Was it Warpedia?
Yeah. You can always find the stuff up there and, you know, someone will do a PDF codex dump somewhere or something, won't they? And you're like, but I don't think they need to stop the books. I don't think the books I like the books. I just think that the rules should be more accessible for everyone. We can't talk about a game being less complicated when you then have to go and buy every rule set in the game to know what your opponent's army does.
That's a really fair point.
As a Custodes player, why do I need to go and buy the Tyranid Codex to know what Tyranids does?
Well, you don't need to worry about them, you'll be fine.
But yeah, but then I get to the table.
I get you. It's a really good point.
I get to the table and what? I'm playing that fella from Toronto that, you know, is a little bit woe.
Little Christopher.
Yeah. Oh, and
I forgot to go into. Maybe I'll go into that comment.
Yeah, and then like, you know, you end up with this whole thing with like, well, is he telling me the right rules? What am I calling him out on? Like, and then go.
Do you know what? That is a superb point. That instantly has convinced me that the game is in such a better state if you just let people access the rules.
Yeah, I don't.
Off the bat, not only do you push back against cheating or misplays, but it allows you to just get into the game more. If you could quite easily just, you know, maybe I will have a look at the tale book tonight on my phone, just getting you more into 40k rather than.
And I know this is a really sad thing.
15 quid away. Is it like 15 quid still for a codex?
No, that's 40 quid now. 35, 40 quid.
I really need I buy these things. I have no idea how much they cost.
I think they're about 30 to 35 quid. The new codex is.
I was like back in 1998 then, like £15, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were years ago, mate.
I'm worried.
What was I going to say about it a minute ago?
Sorry, mate.
No, it was me.
You were saying it'd be nice. Well, I was saying it'd be good to just have it all on your phone so you could push back against cheaters.
I think GW would sell more models as well. if they made
What,
all
by
the
broadening access?
by broadening access, because I'd sit there of a night and go, oh Jesus, let's have a quick look at like that list. Oh look, I like that interaction. Oh, I like what that new Tau unit does. Oh, maybe I'll think about a Tau army. Whereas if I'm like, oh, I've got to buy the codex to know what the rules do, to do this, to do that, you'd be like, I can't really be bothered with it. Whereas if you could just go on there and go, I've got access to all armies, all lists, I can make whatever I want, and yeah, it's a tenner a month or whatever it is, but whatever. I'm invested in this hobby as a hobby. Then you might go, do you know what? Actually, I've written this really cool 1,000-point Ort list that I want to try out. Let's go and get the models and see what happens with it. And if I don't like it, I'll probably sell them on. But whatever. Like, I think there's more. I think sometimes GW are a bit tunnelled with the way they do stuff.
Agree. Someone's saying in chat, wherever you're getting 50 quid codex if I drop the link. Great name, Trixie Bovises.
I don't know.
I like it. There was a comment I was going to read. Oh, Luke had said that they won't drop it because that's how they make money from selling the books. No way they'll make so much money off the books. I guess they do if they're selling them for like 20, 25, 28 quid, 30 quid.
I can't see the codexes being their big money maker.
It's also these though.
Yeah, the cards and stuff makes sense.
It's about 25 quid, the toddler killer.
Yeah, but I can't see. You can't tell me that the codexes are the big money maker. That's just ridiculous. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Look at that. Like,
it's completely useless now.
Yeah, completely done as well. What a waste. Just put it all on the app. Just put it all on the app. And then just charge a bit more for the app. Jesus, it's all there.
But I don't like the people that, like, Anna was putting books in general. I like books. I like physical. I like physical copies of books. I'm not into the don't.
No problem with books.
I'm not one of these don't kill the trees.
No, I'm not into. I'm
kill
more
the trees.
Than happy with books. More than happy with books. I think for me, it's more of an accessibility issue around making sure that everyone's on the same playing field.
Yeah, I agree.
The toddler rocker.
People. So to sum up the last poll, people said 9th was. 84% of people thought 9th was more complicated than 10th.
Yeah.
Be interesting for us to look at that again, back end of the edition. We've still got a lot of books to come out.
Oh, mate, what, we had 6 books so far?
There's a lot, yeah. And we're about to get hit by Orcs, Custodes, then Guard.
Tau.
Well, Tau.
Orcs, Custodes,
Orcs, Custodes, Guard, yeah.
There's a lot to come. Lot to come.
I think I kind of like summary point of Warhammer 40,000 is it's been bits of it have been a bit rocky.
Yeah.
There are still some issues around certain not core elements of the rules. We'll call them fringe elements of the rules, which probably should change if they were ever revisited. Overwatch being one of the examples. But generally speaking, the state of the game that it's in at the moment, the balance and the experience feels really good. And we have faith that when the big problems come out, they do something about it.
Yeah.
Took them a little while with Eldar, but they didn't want to just rush to a mega nerf. They wanted to kind of just.
I think what they were hoping is if they brought some up and dropped them a little bit, it was going to even that curve. But they were just so far beyond where they should have been that it did take quite a big hit for them to get to where they needed to be.
Agree. Should we look at the meta, my friend?
Have a look quickly. We've only got 2 minutes before we got to start after dark, though.
I'll do a screen share.
I think from what I can see, there's been quite a lot of Necrons again this week. So I'm looking at my phone because I've got it on my phone as well.
Support Meta Monday. I'm going to put his link in the chat. He has a Patreon. Please support him. He does great stuff. We think. Oh no, I put it in the wrong place. We think he's ace, and we thank him every week for doing the Meta Monday stats.
AdMech have randomly started appearing in a load of stuff. So they won an event there, but then the one above, they had a top 4 finish. The big one, the big one right at the top. There, they had a top 4 finish.
Oh yeah, they got 5 and 1.
You know, then
Tau rock up a bit. I'll get down to his JCS's summary points. Space Wolves, 61%.
Space Wolves. Matt is so far ahead of the meta. He doesn't even know that he's that far ahead of the meta.
Does he Stormlands?
No.
Does he play Gladiators?
He's looking at playing Gladiators. I think he was playing Stormlands at the weekend, I think.
Necron, the most played. It's normally Custodes at the moment. 58% win rate.
Second.
3 event wins. Thousand Suns, I thought they'd absolutely fallen off a cliff. 51%.
I played Thousand Suns at the weekend, and they seem really difficult to play. Like, just very complicated for what they do.
Their army mechanic is quite fiddly and stressful.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's not a bit of me.
You're a World Eaters, Custodes kind of guy. Just get up in the grill.
Orcs, yeah. Blood Angels, just get amongst it.
Don't start playing Orcs, mate.
I've got Orcs.
Oh, yeah, I forgot they were your next adventure.
Yeah.
Have you got them all?
No, I've got 1,500 points. That's enough for the moment.
That is just your style, innit? Get in your face.
Yeah.
Smash you in.
Smash your back doors in what?
Excuse me?
Who?
I'm worried.
Tyranids and Codex Space Marines, please help out Tyranids. Don't feel too bad about Space Marines, because I still think they're...
The best army to play. They're not.
They are the best army to play.
They're not. They're awful. They're not awful.
We're obviously just looking at it from different angles. So. But one of us is right.
Me.
CSM 43%. We don't feel too bad about that because they were smashing people for ages.
Yeah, wait for Guy to come pop up in the comments about that.
Tau coming at 51%. That feels okay.
Well, their codex hasn't actually dropped yet, has it? Has their codex actually dropped yet? I didn't think it actually come out yet.
Oh, did none of it come out through White Dwarf or anything?
No, it would have all been like an actual release. I'm not sure if it's actually out yet or not.
Custodes won another event. They were the second most played faction, 86 players, win rate of 52%. There we go. We were stressed about Custodes the other week, but they seem absolutely fine.
Custodies are fine. The thing is with Custodies, they're just divisive. Because if you're playing someone and they roll a lot of 4-ups, it feels very oppressive. It just feels
very upsetting.
Yeah.
Do you know what a newfound level of annoying is? Someone rolling one dice at a time.
Oh, yeah, but you know why?
No, they're doing it for the right reason. It's just like, they're just 4-up, pass. But
you're saying that because I did that on stream, didn't I?
Yeah,
because I was seeing if I needed to then.
Yeah, no, you're doing it right. You're doing it right. But in my head, I just want them all to be rolled so I can just instantly see how many work 4-up. But they're like 4-up, 4. You're just like no.
And it just destroys them.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Like Guy says, you can see them like leaving their eyes, can't you?
Yeah. Adam says John Roberts won another event this week with his 18 raves. Conveniently, he's the data slate man. Maybe that's something we could look into. Maybe we could begin one of our investigations.
God, not another one of our investigations. I know it's up for pre-order. The Tau Codex.
Yeah, Adam did say in the chat. Sorry, it's not officially out yet.
It's not officially out.
So what's the new build then? Is that just
I don't know. I think it's probably just people jumping back into Tau to see how the data sheets work.
Fired up for
it. To like just get used to putting reps in and seeing how the data sheets interact with each other. I suspect.
Get them fired up. We're going to jump over and do our After Dark, and we're going to talk about interfering with games.
Yes.
With more adult chat and content where we don't need to. Although we've said quite a few expletives on this show today.
Only like 2 or 3.
There's only been 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It's all fine, and they work within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, and Bareback Jack will...
Please, Liam.
What?
You're not allowed to say his name on the stream.
BBJ.
Don't turn it into something else.
BBJ. BBJ.
Isn't that...
Bareback Jack?
Yeah, I know, but that's something else as well, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
We'll continue this conversation after that. Thank you so much for everyone that joined us in the chat. We do need to now announce a winner for our chat competition. In fact, what we'll do is I'm going to flick through the chats, decide it, and announce it and put it in the comments.
We'll pin the comment at the top.
I'll pin it at the top, and please join the Discord, because I'll also announce it on the Discord, and you'll see over there on the Discord. I update the Discord link. You can see it in the channel description. Loads of people joined us for that live, and loads of people got involved.
Really appreciate all of you again,
Sorry
guys.
For the technical issues at the beginning.
It was all me.
This was quite stressful before I got the stream going, because I did manage... I set the room up and then managed to trip over a tripod. Fall over,
smash a camera on the deck, and then text me and ask if I had a screwdriver.
Yeah,
what was
I hit this camera? Literally, the lens was bent. Oh my! It was so stressful. Oh, and everyone, thanks, Brandon. It's because I never remind people, Brandon. But a lot of other shows constantly remind people to please like and subscribe and all that. I forgot. Please, if you've watched us live and you've enjoyed the show, please like it. It helps loads with the algorithm. Also, subscribe. And if you want to get extra content from Epic Flail, then please consider becoming a member for just $2.99. You get After Dark shows every Monday. Every other Monday, I do an additional show for members. And then every Thursday, we do a live stream. And prior to the live stream, you get 30 minutes to a play to talk about the list and just a general natter, which were Daft Lads. This Thursday, I have...
You haven't got a game this Thursday. I don't think you've got one this Thursday.
Yeah, I've got
Brandon and Callum this Thursday.
This Thursday, we've got a live stream. Everyone troll Valrak by saying Epic Flair is better than... listen. If chat wants to organise themselves to go out and cause conflict on the front lines, we have initiated a sort of proxy war tonight. So,
mate, we're going to be fighting on all fronts, to be fair.
Tom, you're an absolute G, my friend.
Which Tom?
Tom Hampshire. I appreciate him loads. He's gifting another 5 memberships.
Jesus.
He's a good man. Can we send beer money for Brandon this time? Listen, I offered to bring him up a bottle of Prosecco from downstairs.
Champagne, I think it was, not Prosecco.
He was too sober. Still beat me by a point. Anyway, on that note, please like and subscribe. I appreciate you all loads. We really love doing this show, and we won't be able to do it without you lot all getting involved in the chat and making it is what it is. So thanks so much for joining us. Members, we will literally jump over in 2 seconds for an After Dark